everyone, it's Brother Rhett Potts. Thank you for watching this episode of Hope for Japan Ministries, Pray for Japan. So in this episode, we're going to talk about music ministry and its influence in Japan and just how it helps to fuel the apostolic church. So music in Japan, Christian music, has been a big factor as far as conversion and in our worship services. And music and worship has been around for a very long time. We can trace it all the way back into the book of Genesis, and many of the saints throughout the Bible have also sung songs, and David himself was also a very big psalmist and comprised most of the psalms towards the Lord. And music in Japan was always a very interesting aspect of the Japanese church. And Christian music in the Japanese church was first introduced in the late 19th century by Ugo Nakata. And Christian music is used in a great influence in the church today. There are many things that we need to think about when we're thinking about Christian music and the impact it has on the church and the impact it has in Japan. And one of the things that we need to pray about is for Christian musicians, Christian bands, and things like that. We need to pray that God would use them and use them effectively for the ministry in Japan, and use this music ministry in order to reach Japanese and reach their hearts and their minds for His kingdom. Music has a great impact on the soul. How many of you could probably sit there and think of a song that comes to mind and you know that it just moves you emotionally? It could be a song that was at your wedding, a song that was playing while you were saved, while you received your calling, or just a song that comes on the radio, and music moves people. And music ministry in Japan plays a great role. As one of my professors in Bible college that was a music professor used to say that music moves people. It is a vehicle that can allow them to engage with the Lord and allows them to get their spirit right, to interact with the Holy Spirit so that God's Spirit can move on their lives and change them and help them know who He is through the vehicle of music. And music is a great blessing, and it is something that we as human beings are tasked with in order to worship God and just glorify His name through the talents that He has given us. Music has always been a part of God's design, and one of the things that we can briefly mention is that Lucifer, the devil, before he was fallen, he actually was the music minister in heaven. So we know that music is a big part of worship, and music is a big part of influence in people's lives. Moving into what we want to pray for, we want to pray first that God would use Christian music and the influence of Christian artists in Japan to transform the hearts and minds of the Japanese towards Him. The second thing that we want to pray for is for Christian musicians. Japanese Christian artists and Japanese Christian bands and churches that would feel a need to rise up and produce more Christian hymns and gospel songs and contemporary Christian music for Japan. Japan is one of the most unreached people groups, as we mentioned in previous videos, and one of the ways that we could bridge this gap is through music ministry. The last thing that I want to talk about and pray for with music ministry is for the missionaries and the missions workers that are there, because a lot of times when you come on the field, you got to start a church, you need music ministry, and you have to do that yourself as the missionary, as the evangelist, and pray that God would just release a special talent of music onto our evangelists and our missionaries so that they would be able to learn an instrument and be able to play it and effectively minister in music in order to reach that medium. And pray that God would send people that are musically gifted to the nation of Japan in order to fill the gap in music ministry where it's needed. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Pray for Japan. I know it was a short one, but music ministry is a very important aspect of the ministry in Japan. And join us next week as we go to Saitama Prefecture and talk about the needs that are in Saitama. Please give this video a like and a share and get the word out there. Let people know that God is moving in the nation of Japan, and we're just looking for a mighty revival to come across the nation of Japan and many souls to be added to the kingdom. Thank you, and God bless.